Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jeremy Dawson, the Policy and Program Specialist at NAS. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's Corporate Affiliate Members webinar. I hope the webinar is finding you all well after a long election night. And I want to thank all of you out there for tuning in this afternoon. I'm here to give you a quick run through of the webinar features that we have available. So in your handouts section, you can download the slide deck that is used today. All audience mics are currently muted, but we encourage you to interact with us by typing your questions into the box in the question section at any time during the presentation. We will open the line for questions at the end of the formal presentation, so you can dial in using the call-in info provided or have your computer mic set up. We will ask for participants that wish to speak to raise their electronic hands. You can click the little hand icon in your console, and we can unmute your line there at the end of the presentation. So let's run a quick test here, make sure everyone's awake and that we are coming through clearly. Please type into the questions box if you are able to hear us. A-okay, yes, all right, looking good. So we encourage you to use that questions function throughout the presentation as the questions arise. Please note that the webinar is being recorded and will be posted to the webinar archive on the NAST site for your future reference. So on behalf of NAST, I'd like to welcome and thank our speakers for presenting to our membership today and to our attendees for joining us. At this point, I'm going to turn the floor over to Kathleen McClure-White, Chair of the Corporate Affiliate Advisory Board. Kathleen, take it away.
Thank you very much, Jeremy, and thanks to everyone for joining us for today's webinar. This is going to be a very informative session where we will hear about the results of the recent Members Assessment Survey and how it all ties to the strategic plan for NAST. And that's something that the board for the corporate affiliates has been working on, and the survey is an important step in the in moving the plan forward and all of the initiatives that we're working on. I'd like to take a moment to thank the board members who helped on the Special Committee on Learning, and that includes Carrie Hepburn from Aristotle Investments, Mike Nevins of JP Morgan Chase, and Tom Eustace from Prague. So thank you to them for the work that they did and the contributions that they made to the Committee on Learning. I also want to say thank you to corporate affiliates who responded to the survey that was held this past summer. The input from corporate affiliates is really helpful in understanding what's important to members of NAST. And the feedback, ongoing feedback, is really important and essential to helping NAST create the priorities and timelines that tie to all of the areas of interest for members of NAST. So this call is really a call to action. It's to be engaged and hear about and absorb all of the information that you will that will be shared with you today, but to also think about it and how it relates to your own membership on the board, your own sense of the priorities of the organization, and how you can be involved and have a voice and help the board as well as NAST overall achieve as much progress in all of the areas that are important to NAST. So think about what companies we might need to bring on as new corporate affiliates that have expertise or resources that would be useful to NAST. Think about how the priorities that will be covered really tie to some of the ways that you could be more engaged in the way that you and your firm can participate with NAST. It's really the best way for all of the corporate affiliates to feel the value of the organization and to also make a difference. So I want to just cover the what is included in the survey report. There are 6 sections, and this will help you put into context what you hear today and how the findings tie into the responses that were shared with NAST. So there's response rates and respondents, membership profiles, conferences and events, membership benefits, communications, and continuous professional learning. As we go through this, we need to hear your ongoing feedback on both the priorities and the timing. Like which are the things that feel most urgent to you? It is in this kind of participation and engagement that we all feel the value of NAST. And I would say personally for myself and for Wells Fargo Bank, which is my firm, that we really feel the value of NAST the more engaged we get in the organization and the deeper the relationships are that we build with treasurers, their staff, and with all of the NAST staff as a result of coming together at NAST events and having opportunities like this today. One of the things that you can do, it's very practical, is to log in to the new membership database and make sure that your profile, the profile for your firm, and then all of the information about your colleagues who also participate in NAST, that all of that information is up to date. And Jeremy can let you know how to do that. So with that, I'm going to turn this over and we're going to get into the meat of the session. So I'm going to turn it over to Sean Snyder, who's the Executive Director of NAST, and Kari Arfstrom, who's the Deputy Executive Director of Professional Learning. So I'll turn it over to them now, and thank you.
Well, thank you, Kathleen. This is Sean Snyder. Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I want to do a couple of things as we get started here. One is to just let everybody know that after we focus on the strategic plan, or the NAST Member Needs Assessment Report, Jeremy is going to do a little bit of an overview of our new association management system toward the end of this webinar, so please stay tuned for that. I would like to thank you, Kathleen, for your leadership as chair of the Corporate Affiliate Advisory Board. I'd also like to thank Carrie Hepburn, Mike Nevins, and Tom Hustis for their role in the Special Committee on Learning, which helped bring about this report. And just as a side note, I wanted to piggyback on something that Kathleen talked about because it's come up in some of our conversations lately, and that is, as she was talking about, the importance of the corporate affiliates and the relationship with NAST. And it's a unique relationship. I've been involved and seen other associations, and I've never seen one like NAST that takes so much effort to value and develop a strong bi-directional relationship with its corporate members. Some associations obviously have memberships with corporate firms, but at NAST, not only do we have the sponsorship program and the corporate affiliate membership program, of which we're very appreciative, but we also have the corporate affiliate board. The chair of that board sits on the NAST executive committee with the treasurers. The members of that board sit on each of NAST's subject matter committees and help influence the policy of NAST and have a seat at the table to talk about that. So we really, really want to make sure that you're actively participating within the association because we can't do the work that we do without you. You provide the ideas for conference topics, you help us locate speakers, and a whole multitude of other activities. You help us put on webinars, find white papers on important topics that impact the treasurers and sometimes your other corporate affiliate colleagues. So I just really cannot emphasize how important it is that we maintain this corporate affiliate program, but also ask you to be very actively involved in NAST and each committee or activity that you're participating in. We want to hear from you. So turning back over to the Members Needs Assessment Report, we started this whole process based on the NAST strategic plan, which was approved last year. And as you can see on the slide there, the very first goal, very first objective, and very first task was basically to conduct a needs assessment and what do we need to help better serve the members of NAST. And this was done under the focus of a learning and training program. So we'll talk in a minute about how it expanded beyond that scope. So with that, let me advance one slide. As you probably noticed, and as I just mentioned, we asked about issues in the survey that don't appear to be directly linked with the education field. However, our goal was to leverage this survey to maximize its utility while we had members' attention and reduce survey fatigue. We know people get hit with a lot of surveys. But it's important to point out that all of the areas we asked about are in some ways connected. From the member's perspective, we need to look at everything we do as a single comprehensive member experience composed of multiple engagements and touch points and services, hence the comprehensive survey that we did that will touch on all the areas that Kathleen mentioned earlier. And with that, Kari, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Sean, and thank you for joining us today. This is Kari Arfstrom. I'm just going to quickly go through some of the slides and so we can get to the meat of the issue here, but I did want to let you know quickly what the methodology was. There are the 6 sections that Kathleen mentioned for 41 questions. We had a 19% response rate, which is actually quite high. And something that I'm very proud of is the fact that we had 50 states plus DC plus Puerto Rico and New Brunswick in Canada. All of those states were represented either by a state treasurer, a staff member, or a corporate affiliate. So really a wide-ranging group of responses. As you can see here, and one of the reasons that our corporate affiliate advisory board asked us to hold this particular webinar just for corporate affiliates is you were a full 1/4 of all respondents for this survey. And so I made a commitment to at least pull out any of the data points that had a delta of 10 points or greater between our corporate affiliates and our treasurers and their staff, just so that you could see where you all fit into the bigger picture. But it also helps us know where we need to go in the future. And again, that's where we're asking for your feedback. As you can see here by the graphic, is that our members are also members of our NAST network. And so this is an area where if you're not a member of a network and you would like to know more about that, please contact us. On the next slide, we are looking at the breadth of members of people who are, what titles do they hold? And this really was surprising, at least to me. Maybe those of you who have been around a little bit longer already knew this, but it tells us that we really need to go deeper into the treasurer's office. And they're looking for us to provide this professional development and other communications with them. I believe that this will also help you as the corporate affiliate, is that you're meeting more people when you attend one of our events or participate in a webinar or so forth. And so we have made a commitment that we're going, having more breadth and more depth in our membership, and so that will help you as well. So from our findings and conclusions and recommendations on this is that we'll have a new association management system that will be coming online here. Well, it has come online, and Jeremy will tell you about it in a few minutes. I'm really excited about that because I'm still learning it. And again, as I just mentioned, we know that we have to provide more programs and services to a broader spectrum of our staff. But the top bullet point, I did not leave that out because this is the most important thing on the slide right now. Your corporate associate membership in NAST has unlimited number of staff who can receive these benefits. And so make sure that your company is realizing the full potential of membership. And Jeremy will help you know how to do that in our new system. But just realize it's not just you, maybe your senior VPs, but it's anyone in your company who you think would benefit from receiving our benefits that will receive them. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Sean for the next few slides.
Thanks, Kari. As most of you know, it's really critical to know who you're serving, and it helps us understand those folks' needs, how to meet those needs. And so we used the data that we collected here to create membership profiles of both our public and our corporate affiliate members. And speaking of the corporate affiliate members, some of the data points that we were able to collect are that 58% of our corporate affiliate members have been in the private finance sector for 15 years or more. Almost 50% are in their 50s, 25% are in their 40s, and almost 15% in their 60s. Since we're hearing about waves in the news, we know that there is a retirement wave coming, and it's an issue that NAST is looking at. This data is obviously very helpful when it comes to developing our educational content, including operational issues like succession planning. So one question we have that we'd like to throw out to you for discussion later, and you can certainly email us, is have you heard of a great speaker talk about workforce development in the public finance sector? We're definitely looking for folks who can provide interesting discussions about that for keynotes or other sessions at our conferences. So please let us know if you've heard of anybody in that area. Some of the conclusions and recommendations based on the data that we got in terms of membership profile. Obviously, this is a demonstration of how NAST is becoming a data-driven association in just about everything we do. It does take a lot of work, but it is definitely worth it in the long run. With approximately 40% of our members retiring in the next 10 years, obviously this gives us some time to plan for that transition over time, but also we want to get started on that now, so there isn't a lot of time to lose. So we have to clearly support individuals who I'll say are in the second half of their careers, but we also have to support a distinct audience of those who are in the first half or very, very new in their careers in public finance and in the corporate affiliate world in the private sector. So we are looking at the different ways to target those different audiences and provide them the content that's relevant to them. In terms of our conferences and events, we know that there are a lot of members, including corporate affiliates, who attend our conferences. I think the data on the screen is all of our respondents to the survey, but let me break out those numbers, which, as Kari said, if there's a delta between the public members or the overall and the corporate affiliates, we want to note that. And here there were some interesting differences. So 50% of our corporate affiliates attend the legislative conference. That's far more than the average respondent to the survey. 71% attend the Treasury Management Training Symposium. That's about on par with what we saw on the chart. And then about 57% attend the annual conference. So clearly, we see a higher level of attendance with our corporate affiliate members, and that's fantastic. The key is really making sure that you're involved in terms of the conferences. That means sending in ideas to the program committee when we have a call for topics for the conferences, and actively participating on site at the conference. We've heard responses in terms of what our attendees like to do with conferences and what they feel is valuable. Obviously, we have anecdotal evidence on these things, but we want it to be data-driven. And what we know, you can see on the right-hand side, is people really prefer panel sessions followed by group discussions, followed by presentations, and then keynote speakers. Not a huge difference between those, so there's a lot of support for those, but we did want to make sure that we were doing things in the right quantity at our conferences, I'll say. With that, I will advance. For the legislative conference, we are looking for panel members for the sessions that you can see there. We're still working very feverishly with the program committee, Treasury staff, the corporate affiliates who are on the program committee. So if you have people that you're aware of that would be a good fit for a panel on these topics, please let us know so we can start to finalize the people who will be participating. We don't want to miss out on anybody. In addition, we're also looking for keynote speakers. We have some ideas, but we really want to get ideas from you. One example, as we talked about and noted on the slide, is the talent gap in the public sector finance workforce. This is a big issue, not just with the state level public finance folks, but the other members of what I call the Financial Four, GFOA, NASBO, and NASDAQ. The four executive directors of those groups have been talking quite a bit about the issue of the pipeline of creating public finance employees, both in the public sector and those that support the public sector from the private sector. Moving on to conferences and events. We wanted to find out something that's very critical, and that is why people don't attend our conferences. And once we identify what those reasons are, figure out if there's ways we can eliminate those road bumps. And so what you can see here is that it's in order of importance. Limited travel funds were an issue, limited work coverage while out of the office. Topics don't necessarily pertain to the individuals, or the topics are too basic for their level. So one of the things we've done this coming conference is to try to tackle items 1 and 2, is we will be doing a live streaming of our sessions on Monday for the legislative conference. So hopefully that there are people out there who would really like to attend but can't for these very practical reasons, but will still have access to what their colleagues will have who are on site. and we were very excited about that. The other thing we need to keep in mind is that NAST is not the only player in this field. So you can see on the right-hand side of the slide, we asked our members, what other conferences do you attend and what other groups do you interact with? And you can see there Strategic Insight, College Savings Foundation, GFOA, UPO, and State Financial Officers Foundation. And I think what's important is that we've been working very hard to actually address some of these things that we knew were issues early on, even while the survey was out there and we were collecting the results, because we were already aware of some of these issues. So we have very actively looked for ways to enhance the networking opportunities that occur at events. We heard overwhelmingly that was a very important, that was the most important issue for our attendees at conferences, which is very understandable. Corporate affiliates want to meet with their clients and the public sector. Public sector folks want to talk to each other about how they're doing things in their states and learn from each other. So very important. As I mentioned in bullet 2, we're implementing the live streaming for our conference. We're also doing this for the New Treasurers Symposium, which will be held the Saturday before the start of the legislative conference. We're reviewing the way we call for proposals for our ideas for our conferences to make sure that we cast a wide net and make it very clear what we're looking for and allow people to participate. We've added differentiated registration fees based on the timing to help us better plan our conferences, and adjusted schedules and agendas to make sure that the conferences meet the members' needs and use their time better. Like I said, adding more networking events. We're also looking at ways to revise the way we brand our conferences and adding topics and themes to current conferences. So it's a little more understandable to those who attend, especially newer attendees. They can understand what it is they're going to learn versus some of the more traditional, well, this is the track of X, Y, and Z, and this is the way we've always done it. So we want to be a little more intuitive to people who attend. And we'll obviously continue to monitor the number of conferences and related costs and attendance, both within NAST and our sister associations. Just as a side note, this coming year, as of yesterday, there will be at least 14 new treasurers coming into office. Those are the elected ones. That does not include the ones who are appointed and will be coming in with a new governor. So this coming legislative conference is a real opportunity for our corporate affiliate partners to come and get to meet the new treasurers. In addition to the sponsoring that you normally do, just make sure that you're there to get a chance to meet these folks. I think it's going to be a very interesting legislative conference. It'll be the largest number of incoming treasurers I think we've had. Yeah. And we were up late watching the results last night.
Yes, we were.
So when we talk about membership benefits, here's where we get into the meat of it. And these are really the things that our respondents talked about. What do they value from their membership and participation in NAST? And as I mentioned, the networking with colleagues was by far the number one. Representation in Washington, we have a very good advocacy firm here. We have staff here who also work with the advocacy firm. We're on the Hill talking about subject matter issues. We have our treasurers and other Treasury staff who come in. We sometimes have corporate affiliate members who are involved in advocacy, and we greatly appreciate that. The third item is working collaboratively with other associations. Just today, Kari and I were meeting with the state and local legal center to look at ways to better partner with them. They're the ones that helped put on the South Dakota versus Wayfair case webinar that talked about the sales tax collection. So there's such a large number of associations here in DC that we can tap into and partner with that I think it gives you as corporate affiliate members and our public members so much more access to the capacity within the city that's already here. And then obviously enhancing professional growth for individuals. Serving on a committee is always a rewarding thing for many of our members who participate. And then being able to have access to the members-only webinars that we host is very important to folks. So in terms of conclusions and recommendations of our membership benefits survey, as I said, we've already done a lot to really react to this. We've launched an updated sponsorship program last week. I believe all of you should have gotten an email about that. If you haven't, please contact Emma Heidloff on our staff. Talk about that. We've created in hearing the response from the corporate affiliates, we created a little more flexibility in terms of our sponsorship opportunities. So we have the year-long purchase approach, so you don't have to go conference by conference and purchase different things. You can go throughout the year and work with us to select items that you want. There's more of a menu-based approach to some of the items with unique purchases that you can do to help enhance your brand and your visibility. So that's hopefully will be helpful to everybody. We're reviewing the relevancy of the member benefits package and making adjustments in light of what we've gleaned from this report. We are also looking at our dues chart and looking to see if there are any revised structures that would help improve participation in NAST and attract folks who want to participate. And then also, as we've talked about briefly before, we launched our new association management system. In short, this is the backbone of the data in our association. It's the membership profiles, it's the corporation profiles, the treasury profiles. This system is by far a huge improvement over what we have been using before, and it'll be able to allow us to identify a lot of data that tells us what our members are looking for and how they want it delivered to them. So we're very excited. If you haven't logged in already, please do so. As I said earlier, Jeremy will help give a high-level overview for that. But if anybody has any questions, we're all here to help with that going forward. And with that, Kari, I think I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Great, thank you very much. So the next section is on our communications, and I'll just run through this quickly because I do want to get to the last section, which is the continuous professional learning. So overall, both our corporate affiliates and our treasurers and their staff have similar responses when it comes to our newsletter readership. Unfortunately, we do see quite a high number of people who do not even receive the newsletter. So we need to make sure that, one, our system that we use, our platform that mails out the newsletter is not blocking addresses, or maybe your system is not blocking those addresses. But again, I know we talked quite a bit about this database, and so no pressure, Jeremy, but just make sure that people in your company who should be receiving these newsletters do receive them. This tells me that emails are getting through, because else they wouldn't have known how to take this survey, but not necessarily getting our newsletters. So again, that's an area where you can help us. We are anticipating reviewing how often we send the newsletter. Right now it is daily, and after the new year we will be looking at that and possibly adjusting it. For those members who do get the newsletter, our click-through rate is almost double the industry standard, so we're really proud of that fact. We also know that the items that you all are clicking on the most are videos, which we have added quite a few of those to the newsletter, so hope that you are enjoying them. And then the top tweet, which is actually at the bottom of the page. And so people really enjoy seeing what that is. And of course, also information about having to do with NAST conferences and events always gets a high click-through rate. On the next page, I hope that you have noticed, if you are getting the newsletter, that we've actually added some new graphical elements to it. They are really fun to work with our design team and putting those together, and we hope that you have enjoyed looking at those too. As far as email, we know that we send quite a bit of email, and we're trying to get a better handle on it. This is something that Sean and I and the rest of the staff have committed to working on. There was some difference between our corporate affiliates and our treasurers on how often you were receiving emails from us, be it once a day or a couple times a week. But most of those emails were about conferences or webinars, or were from one of our networks. So just know that we are working on this area and are really putting quality of messaging over quantity of messaging. Okay. In the next slide about the website, I do have to really commend our corporate affiliates. You are using our members-only web page much more than our other members. So at least half of you have logged into the members-only page. And again, you're going there to find information about conferences, but also then to find other corporate affiliates and treasurers and their staff, and that's what this database is for. It's an easy one-stop shop for you to go to. If you're looking for, a treasurer or a staffer, maybe you met them at a conference and you didn't get their business card, here's your place to go to find out who they are. And again, we're really asking you to help us keep our database clean and up to date. And again, Jeremy will show that to you in a few minutes from now. Social media has really expanded here at NAST in the last few months. So if you are not following us on Twitter, please do, and we'll follow you back if we're not doing that already. We are on Facebook and LinkedIn. This video will be housed on a private link, but it will be, the platform is YouTube. And so please, help us in social media, and we will do the same. And if you do want to call out a tweet that you have sent out, just let us know, and we'll get it in the mix for you to be a top tweet as well in the newsletter. Another interesting thing that we looked at in the survey is, what do you all read? And here just a quick listing of Bond Buyer, Bloomberg, Route 50, and so forth. And so this really helped our PR media firm know who to really target. So things that don't directly affect you help us operationally to do better as your membership association. So thank you for helping us with that. So the conclusions and the recommendations that we take away from this particular section is that we know that we need to maximize value and minimize volume when it comes to our emails. We have stepped up the use of social media, and we will continue to develop those platforms. Where I really need your help, and I'm making a special plea, is we need to feed the beast, as we call it, meaning our daily newsletter. So I know I've talked to many of you one-on-one at our events, that if you have a report that comes out, or a white paper, or a link to maybe a webinar that you've already done, obviously we can't do direct marketing for you, but if you have these items that are informational in nature, please send them on to me, and I'll get them onto our editor. I just can't stress that enough to help us feed the beast. Again, with your feedback, it will help us with the revitalization of our website. We have made a few small tweaks already to it, but you'll see some whole-scale changes over the next few months. So again, all of this helps us to become that data-driven association that Sean mentioned earlier. And of course, we want to develop our members as thought leaders and be nimble in our responses to press inquiries. So all of this will come into our recommendations for this particular section. The last section here is on continuous professional learning, and obviously this is the big area that we are moving forward on. Again, our corporate affiliates and our treasurers and their staff were unanimous in your responses in this particular section. You told us specifically that you want materials to help you all stay current with new issues and new trends. You want to hear from us on the latest research, ideas, and innovations. You want to hear from experts in the financial and public sectors. You would like reports on legislative and regulatory changes. You want to know what other states are doing that may help in other states. And this is an area that you all can really help us with, because you know what is succeeding in one state, and we can send it out of our newsletter in a short case study, if you will. They want resources to maintain their interest and be motivated in their profession, and really opportunities to present to their peers. I know that Sean mentioned earlier about how much networking really means to our members, and so we actually queried it in a second way. And so when we asked our respondents about peer-to-peer networking, not informal networking that might happen over a cocktail party, or even a formal networking maybe at a tabletop talk discussion, but when we could have peer-to-peer networking, it skyrocketed to 95% of respondents requested more of this. And we are adding this into our agendas already, because we hear that you all want this. Okay, and then I have to advance my slide too. Also, we have made a decision, quite a few decisions based off this report already, and our program committee recently decided to forego the formal NASBA CPE process for both face-to-face conferences, just because of the onerous regulations. And instead, what NAST will do is offer letters on an as-needed basis for whatever licensing body you may need for your CPEs. This adjustment's already been made on our conference webpage, so you will see it there. We are exploring whether or not to offer CPEs on webinars, but we are not currently licensed to offer those. But we are looking into that, and just know that we have made some changes already in this area. We also know that our respondents have participated in conference calls or webinars or videos. And so again, all of those things that are listed there on the right side of the screen, we will be studying and possibly implementing in the near future. We also know that it was fairly consistent between the corporate affiliates and the Treasury and their staff of the format for training. And I won't belabor this because you can see it there in front of you. But the members really want in-person multiple day events, such as our conferences. Some remember regional events that were held in the past. They all like webinars that have Q&A, which we will have here shortly. And also we really want to investigate more of that short format video, and we'll be experimenting with that. Right there, that we talk about coaching and mentoring. One of the things that we will be doing with at least our 14 new treasurers is for anyone who wants a mentor, we will be assigning them one. So again, a more formal process that we're entering into to help them succeed in their new jobs. Over on the right-hand side of the screen, there were a few differences here. And this is an area, again, where you all can help us. You know, both corporate affiliate members and our treasuries, they wanted summaries of reports, case studies on best or promising practices, original research, and just to identify programs in other states that can be replicated in their state. So again, all areas where if you have it, please let us know. One of the questions was specifically asked by the treasurers. So this wasn't really a corporate affiliate question, but it's something that, again, you can help us with. Our members are asking for us to provide this type of information for their constituents. And so they want nonpartisan talking points or FAQs. They want toolkits and other resources for help and outreach. They want presentation decks that they can then repurpose. So if you, again, have these things, or if you're producing these things, let me know, because I don't want to reinvent the wheel. And frankly, we don't have the budget to do some of this right now. So again, this is an area where you as our corporate affiliates can really help us out. One of the other questions that didn't necessarily pertain to our corporate affiliates, but I know the co-chairs of the Special Learning Committee really wanted, was information on office functions. So if that's something that really rocks your boat, go at it and read it in the report or give me a jingle. But again, that was pretty basic to the Treasury's office. So the next thing was just issue areas. And again, this is helping us to drive our agenda. And you can see there's some difference between the percentage of corporate affiliates, what topics you all wanted us to talk about, and those with the Treasury and the staff staffers. One of the areas that I will call out, while cybersecurity was not that big of an issue for our corporate affiliates, it was really a hot topic for our treasurers. This is one of those topics that Sean asked you earlier. If you have key people in your company that can help us with this topic, please reach out to me and let me know. And we will be getting an email out to our corporate affiliates specifically requesting this information. But just know we're already taking the information that we've received and are implementing it. The most exciting part of the report, and the one that I will again invite you to read the report to go deeper into it, is the open-ended responses. And while I mentioned that we had a 19% response rate, we did not have a high drop-off rate. So we really had pages of open-ended responses that I analyzed. The list that you have in front of you right now is just the top, 8 themes that emerged for the variety of feedback that we wanted. And again, this is in no order, but I'm really interested in diving deeper into this. It will really help us plan for, in particular, our TMTS conference next May. So again, if you have an expertise in one of these areas, or if you have a subject matter expert in your company, please pass that information on to us. And as we move forward, we will anticipate getting this information from you. So again, for section number 6, our conclusions and recommendations for continuous professional learning is looking at, we see this as a blueprint for future programming for subjects, for speakers, and method delivery. We will continue, obviously, to deliver programming face-to-face and through webinars, but we want to explore other methods, such as the streaming video that Sean mentioned earlier that we will be pilot testing at our legislative conference in February. We were really interested in driving programming and the services that NAST provides based on these findings. We want to put an emphasis on the collateral and the materials that we use for training and for our members to use with their constituents. We obviously want to utilize the expertise of you all, our corporate affiliates, and then we, of course, will continue to be working with our foundation and expanding that programming. So with that, I'm going to take a pause, and I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy, who's going to give us a quick tutorial on this magical association management system that we have been talking about for the past 30 minutes or so. So Jeremy, I'm going to push it over to you.
Great, thanks, Kari. So here on the NAST site, as Kari mentioned, we made a few changes. So here's where you can find the webinar archive where this recording will be posted if you want to review that. But we have a new members section. So as she mentioned, you all were one of the primary users of the old system, so you're probably well aware that it wasn't the most user-friendly. And so we've really tried to make it a little easier for you all to update your information and to find information of our other members. So we'll take a quick look here. And as we can see, we're in the members section, but we're not logged in yet, so we don't have a ton of options. So you can either there's a sign-in button here at the top or over here on the side. And so everyone should have received their login credentials. If you didn't, you can always contact me. I'm happy to provide those for you, or you can just fill out this password reset form, and it should take care of it automatically. So, and we are taken kind of to the back end here, and we're looking at it's called My Feed. And this is just posts and updates, just quick at a glance. Can't think of it kind of like a Facebook feed of what everyone has been doing in the system. And now this tutorial is really focusing more on an individual. Every corporate affiliate organization should have received a video explaining how to go in and manage all of the individuals associated with your account, how to update your primary industry and services offered. And I've been getting a ton of notifications that you all have been going through and purging those records and updating, and it's super appreciated. But for your personal profile here, the first you're going to want to do when you log in is take a quick look and make sure that we have all your information correct. So up here in the top right where it says welcome and your name, we can just click accounts and settings, and this will take us to where we can edit all of our information. So here in the profile tab, you can update your username and password, email address, and all of that basic information, address, organization, title, that is relevant to you, and make sure to click that Save Changes when you're done. And here in Content and Features, we talked a little bit about social media and how that's been a big push for us. So here in the Networks tab, we can manage all of the social media networks that we want to share with everyone so they can find us. So you can just select whatever platform you want to, so you want to put your LinkedIn on here, you put in your URL for your profile, add it to your profile, it'll pop up, and we'll take a look at what that looks like here in a second. But you can also see, we have 68 of our members have their Twitter network on here. So we can always click this link, and so we can see Strategic Insight. If we want to connect with them on Twitter, we can click that and go to their profile. And so what all of this looks like on the front end, if we click on my profile, we'll get a look at what our profile will look to the public. So we've got our contact info here on the left. Here's our networks that we added. So if someone wants to check out my LinkedIn, they can just click that and go right there. If you hover over here, you have your profile picture, and so I can edit or change that picture as needed. And there's a couple tabs here. So under About, we have a couple more basic info, title, organization name. All of these links that are blue are clickable. So if I want to see every individual who has banking and cash management as a relevant committee to them, we can just click that and it'll pull a list. so we can get real granular. And we'll take a closer look at how we can search and filter through our members in a bit. We
Jeremy,
also have a
Jeremy,
yeah,
can you show them real quick how to input information related to the industry their company is in? That was a key issue that Kathleen brought up earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd have to sign in as an organization to kind of show you what that field looks like. I did create an instructional video that was sent around to all the primary contacts of an organization. So if you all do want to review that, feel free to contact me and we can go over that.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
So also on an individual's profile, you can see their associates, which are all of the people that are also linked to the same account. So we have all the NAST folks here, and we can look at their profiles just by clicking on them there. So before we go any further, let's take a quick look at what that homepage looks like now that we're signed in. So if we're signed in and we click on the members, so now things are looking a little different. We have a different menu up here. But on the homepage, let's take a quick look and scroll down. So we have some kind of hot links here instead of the sign in widget. Down here towards the bottom, we have our Twitter feed. So you can, like a post from there. This is just a archive of our Friday morning brief, the state news edition. So if you want to catch up on what's been happening in the states that week, you can click on that. And here in the calendar, we have, this will be where conference information will be held. So right now we have the legislative conference ready. So we can click on that. Gives us some basic info. I'm already registered, but if we need to, you can click the register and take care of that there. And at the bottom, we also have some related products, and these would be sponsorships that we have available for this conference. So you can, register and grab a sponsorship all from the same cart. So hopefully that process will be a little easier for everyone. So let's take a look at what some of these new menu items are. So under advocacy resources, we have a couple different options. Resolutions will just take you to all of the NAST resolutions on our policy positions, and it's kind of broken down by topic. So you can click on that PDF to view the full thing, or click more to get a quick descriptor. Under one-pagers and talking points, this is where I think you all will be a big help for us. Kari talked about the needs of our members looking for materials around different topics that they can use for their constituency. And so we've have a couple loaded on here already. It's, broken down by topic. But if there is something that you do want to share with the membership, you can actually submit added to this resource library. So if you have a one-pager on some college savings data, you can click add a file here. Choose it to upload it, give it a name, give it a quick description, make sure that you check this box and then hit submit. And if it's approved by us, we will add that to this library. So we really want to see this grow and become a great resource for everyone. The Advocacy Newsletter Archive is an archive of the Williams and Jensen Advocacy Update that is sent out every Friday. Sean should send that out. If you're not receiving that, let us know. We can make sure you get on that list, or you can always go here to the archive to find all of those. We also have a link to the aforementioned Members Needs Assessment, so you get the full report, the executive summary, or you can just view it here in your browser.
Great, thanks, Jeremy. And this is the place where our members would go to get the full report, which comes in at about 30 pages, or there is an executive summary. So that is being highlighted right now by Jeremy on the computer.
Yep, absolutely. That's where these two links will take you. Just a couple of quick stops, and then we can get to some questions. Don't want to take up too much of everyone's time. Conference materials it just has some links to the archive versions of the apps for the conference. So if you want to take a look at the attendee list or miss some session materials, you can click on those. and view the archive version there. So most importantly to you all is you want to find members. So we've tried to revamp this and make it a little easier for you to search. So we start here with the treasurer directory. And so we can press continue to generate a list of all the treasurers. Pulls up our nice list here. And then we can just click on one to be taken to their profile. So this looks just like my profile where we have the contact info. You can click that About tab, get a little more info, have a short bio here. And then their associates will, also show all the people in their organization. So the next search that we have kind of pre-filled is this Treasury Profiles. So if you're looking for a particular Treasury organization, we have a couple different filters here that you can search by default. So you can search it by department. So if you want to know all the treasuries that have debt management, you can select that. Hit continue, and it'll pull up that list. So there's a couple there. And then the other filter is by region. So if you just want to see all the treasuries in the southern region, you can click that and pull it up. And so these treasury profiles are a little different from the treasurer's profile. So here, just like how on a corporate affiliate organization has the services offered and the primary department that you all cover, the treasury organization has all of the departments that the treasurer covers, as well as some basic information about the treasurer selection method, term length, term limit. And then you can also view all of the people associated with that organization in that sub-accounts tab. And then finally, we have Find an Affiliate, which is where people will go to find your organization. So they can either hit continue and it'll pull all of our affiliate organizations, or you can filter it down by industry or service offered. So with that, I'll stop. I did see one question coming in. Following the conferences, can you post presentations for download? I think the only way to do this is from the conference app. Yes, so that is where this conference materials archive, that's a great question. And so after a conference is over, there'll be a link to that conference here. So if we wanted to view a presentation from the recent annual conference, we don't need to log in. And this will pull up, it'll be in the app, but it's through a web-based version of it. So everyone will have access to it, and then we can just go into the agenda and find whatever session we're interested in. And then down here we'll have all of the documents that were associated with
that. Great. Well, Jeremy, thank you. We're really excited about this new database, and we know everyone is really anxious to get in there and play around with it. Again, if you have any questions specifically about the new database, please contact Jeremy. Sean, if you could go to the next slide, please. Great. So if you haven't already figured out from the hour that you have spent with us, we are really looking for your input, both on the priorities and on the timelines. If you have any questions, please be sure to put them into the chat box, and we have a few minutes that will entertain those. We know that this report, while it's a snapshot in time, this is really an ongoing process as we ramp up our continuous professional learning. During this time of change and enhancement, we need your feedback. We expect a number of hits. We hope there are not too many misses, and that we just ask for your support moving forward. Sean and I, our email addresses are right there. We're always anxious to hear back from you, again, for a variety of reasons that we listed out in this webinar today. This webinar will be archived, and it will be available on our website under, Jeremy, remind me, is it under media on our webpage?
It's under conferences and programs, actually.
Okay, conferences and programs, and you'll see it there. So Sean, any questions that have come in or anything else that you want to?
There is one question. Just let me remind folks that on the control panel for the GoToWebinar, you can also download this handout as a PDF. The slide deck is there if you like. We have a question here, and the system has information pertaining to unclaimed property been removed from the newsletter. It has not. We've changed the way that we manage that. It used to be included sort of as in an ad hoc manner as it came in during the week, but what we've done is consolidate it to include it in the state roundup on Friday. And then last week we started highlighting what will end up being a series of videos about unclaimed property, which, if I remember correctly, was the highest clicked video and newsletter link that we've had in, well, probably since we started tracking that. So that we know that unclaimed property is a real highlight in terms of subject matter.
Right.
We want to do it in an orderly manner when we put it in there. But certainly if you have thoughts on that, we're happy to entertain those.
And usually it's also a top tweet as well. So make sure to scroll down all the way to the bottom of the screen to see if it's a top tweet, but then really focus on the Friday state roundup. Since so much of that information is state specific, we wanted to give it its due. So you'll find it there.
Any other questions? We have a few minutes. I don't see anything. I don't hear anything. So, and obviously you've got our email addresses there, and I think you have my phone number from the emails I send out. So if anything comes up after this webinar, please don't hesitate to email us or give us a call. Happy to chat about anything. As I said at the beginning, we want your input. We can't do our jobs without you, so we do value that. And with that, if there are no other questions, I think we will conclude. And just thank you again for attending. I know this has been about an hour, but hopefully you found value. I highly encourage you to download and at least read the executive summary of the needs assessment report. Feel free to download the entire document. There's a lot of data in there that's very interesting as well. We'd love to get your feedback on that as well. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, all.